Previously on A Leg of Glazed Ham is committing to the bit and is talking about One Tree Hill. With that, everyone, this journey through One Tree Hill is finally over. I did it. I watched every goddamn episode of this dumpster fire, and it only took me 136 pages to recap all of it. Dung, dung. I don't want to be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately. All I have to do is think of me and I have peace of mind. I don't want to be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately. All I have to do is think of me and I have peace of mind. I'm tired of looking around rooms wondering what I gotta do or who I'm supposed to be. I don't wanna be anything other than me. Now that you know the story for every single goddamn episode of this godforsaken series after a triple-digit page count, I'm going to continue to talk about this and really commit to the bit. I told you this was going to be a long journey, so buckle the fuckle up. As you can imagine, this show has an unholy amount of characters, and not all of them are worth discussing. I'm going to discuss a wide variety of characters, in no particular order unless otherwise stated. I'm also setting the expectation now that there are two major characters that I won't talk about in this section, and you'll see why later. See if you can figure them out before I get to them. But for now, here's the core cast of people and my thoughts on them. Let's start with my absolute favorite character, the real hero of the story, Coach. That's right, my favorite character is, of course, Coach Whitey. And how could he not be? I mean, he's the best part of every scene he's in. His speeches are certified classics, every one of his lines is pure gold, and he makes this show worth sticking through. The actor who played him, Barry Corbin, was also in 3 episodes of Better Call Saul, which I have to mention for all 2 of you watching this who've seen that show all the way through. Anyways, every single thing this character does is so incredibly entertaining, so obviously he's my favorite. Moving along, my second favorite character of the entire show, and probably the actual number 1, it's Peyton. Shocking that I like her more than Lubisky, I'm sure, but she's great. I really like all of the characters she gets to have, from being a lonely artist and contradictory cheerleader in seasons 1 through 3, to the victim of never-ending tragedies in season 4, to the lost and lonely girl in season 5, and finally, the girl whose every dream came true in season 6. She's got the most character out of anyone in this show. Her whole relation to music is great, and of course, I too love The Cure. Of course, a lot of the heart and drama in this show relies on her and Lucas, and I won't lie, it works a lot better than Jaylee Hames and Nathan. Maybe that's because their dynamics are so much better, or maybe Peyton's just my favorite of the core cast and I'm super biased. I'll never tell. Just know that she's objectively the best character in this show. From a coke addiction that lasted a week to starting a record label, she's so much fun to watch, even if she can be a bit whiny at times. Then of course, there's Lubisky. He's the actual hero of the story, and yet I don't have too much to say about the boy. He's got a real awkward hair adventure when it's sometimes okay and other times it's as bad as Dan's hair. I mean, he's the most consistent character in the show, even if he's a bit prone to car accidents and has nearly died more times than anyone else. Actually, he's probably been legally dead more than anyone else, which means at least twice. Kinda awesome, actually. And on the subject of Lucas and Peyton, they're the show in its purest form, and when their arcs wrapped up in season 6, I've got a larger point I want to make, so keep this in the back of your mind. Don't worry, it'll be in the next major section, so it won't be that far away. On his own, Lubisky's fun. I like when he's on screen, and even though he can have some out-of-left pocket heel moments, he's the best of the male leads. Curveball, it's Dan time. I really like Dan in this show because he's just so comically evil that it's hilarious. I'm always ecstatic when he's on screen because he's gonna be up to the most evil or wacky shit things you've ever seen. And don't even get me started on his end-of-season tragedies because they're so funny. When he has a heart attack in the middle of signing his divorce papers, iconic. The attempted murdering of Dan, even funnier. Evil heart surgery? Pure Kino. Absolutely perfect storytelling. Anything he does is pure gold, and I love it. In retrospect, he's just so fun and goofy, and the fact that his hair never matches and is always incorrect just says a lot about how fun he is. Sure, he's horrible and I should hate him, but I can't help but root for him every time he's on screen. Even when he just executes his own brother, I can't stop laughing just because of how out of nowhere it is. He's actually the best character in the show, or at the very least, the best villain. And of course, his Season 9 redemption arc is just 19,000 shades of goofy, and his final episode where he makes his amends and all that is a nice way to wrap up his character. And of course, he died a hero after living long enough to be the main antagonist. Keith and Karen kind of belong in the same spot because they're the voices of reason in the early seasons, only for them to disappear later on. I like them both for similar reasons, and it's because they're the good parents in the show, and as such, Keith gets murdered and Karen travels the world. I like the scenes they get to have, and Keith did start the Tree Hill car crash into the hospital surgery pipeline, which is worth a lot, actually. Karen is like the more reasonable version of Coach and exists to be the good mom in contrast with Deb, who is the bad mom, just as Keith exists to parallel Dan and blah blah glazed hams talking like an English major again. Broke Davis was a character that's been here since the beginning, and honestly, that's a very impressive feat. She gets a lot to do, and I think she gets a lot of funny gags throughout, like the many, many times she goes to jail. It's hilarious, I don't know what to tell you. I think she's an interesting character since she goes from just being an antagonistic main character to being an actual main character in the show. The later seasons definitely treat her like Peyton, which is to say that she becomes the victim of unjust tragedy after unjust tragedy, at least for Season 7 and most of Season 8. Of course, she has her own saga of garbage early on, from appearing naked in the back of people's cars in Season 1, which is the funniest callback joke when that one guy, I think Owen, appears in the back of her car naked, to her hating her best friend all because of a boy, to engaging in some wacky shenanigans. She really had a lot of room to grow and do stuff. She does a lot more than anyone else, in all honesty, at least in the later seasons. Say what you will about those later seasons, though, but you can't complain about Brooke. She gets to have all her dreams come true after 8 seasons of suffering, and it felt earned mostly. All of the impossible odds she overcame at the end was a necessary way to wrap this shit up. Honestly, a pretty good character overall. There's also Jaylee Hames Scott, who has changed more times than anyone else possible, and as such, I couldn't tell you how I feel. At some parts she's likable, and other times she kinda sucks. Actually, that's not fair. I have to give her more credit than that. She was here for the whole damn series, from pilot to finale, and that's worth something, because that was nearly a decade of trash TV, and you're in damn near all 187 episodes, if not all of them. That feat alone is commendable, even if the final product includes the last 3 seasons of the show. I think as a whole, her character is simultaneously the most and least consistent one in the series. She stays the same from Season 1 up until Season 7, then she goes off the fucking rails into Crazy Town. Her Season 8 arc is kinda wacky and strange, then Season 9 is deserved. And of course, her and Nathan are most of the heart in the show, given their whole trials and tribulations from junior year of high school to being fully grown adults and family and whatnot. But I can't shake the feeling she's living in the shadow of Lubisky. One of the last shots of her mirrors Lucas in episode 1, and that says a lot, but what do I know? Nathan is an odd fella. Despite how crucial to the overall plot he is, I just don't have much to say about him. His whole goal revolves around being basketball, until he becomes all about family. He starts off an unlikable ass, then gets better, and has his oscillating moments where he'll bounce between a jackass and a hero, and don't get me started on every time this dude gets thrown through a window. Also, it is fitting that his last big arc involves him getting kidnapped, in retribution for when he kidnapped Lucas back in Season 1. Sure, he was kidnapped by the Russian mob or whatever organized crime it was, but you get the parallel. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. I'm grasping at straws, which is weird considering that he's one of the most critical characters in the whole series. Anyhow, remember the time he was involved in a cheating scandal? Yeah, me neither. Jakey is a side character you've probably forgotten about, but I sure haven't. Jakey and his big mistakey Jenny were pretty integral in the early seasons, so it's a tad weird that they got forgotten about almost immediately. I mean, that baby gets kidnapped so many times, and it's hilarious every damn time. Then, of course, Jakey as a plot device for Peyton to realize that the guy she loved was Lubisky from the start is definitely something, and props to him as a character for realizing this and telling her in the calmest way possible that she should just go get her man. Yeah, he loved her or something, but he's that cliche about if you love something you gotta let go. Anyways, he's a goofy side character. I was always glad to see him, and that's it. Anna is a really special case, and I kinda hate her. I can see the vision of what this character would have been if this show was made now, but what is presented here feels a tad exploitative. It's like they wanted to have a gay character to be seen as progressive, but it couldn't be a main character, otherwise the ratings would tank due to that 2000s homophobia. Anna isn't a character, she's treated like a device for the show to pat themselves on the back with. It's why she just disappears after her arc concludes with Felix getting sent to military school or some shit. I don't care. She wasn't a character, she was a mouthpiece for the writers to get praise for being progressive, and it sucks. The gay is her one defining character trait, and that sucks. It really does. Like, let her be an actual character and not defined by a single trait. You know what I mean? Mouth is the GOAT. I don't care what you say, he's so goofy, and I still think about the sign gag from season 4 because it's really funny. I like that he's the most normal of the main cast because he's really is just a guy. He's a tad strange, and the fat suit in season 9 was a bold choice, to say the least, but he's great. Consistently entertaining, consistently goofy, and just a good guy all around. We like Mouth, you know? And the gag where he and Skills are in a war of attrition in order to get the other to move out is pretty funny. Speaking of Skills, yeah, he sure was here. I somehow didn't mention him until season 2, but he's one of the OG Rivercourt boys, and he was in the first episode. I like him, I really do, he's one of my favorite side characters, but I don't have much to say about him. He doesn't do nearly as much as everyone else does, besides sleep with Nathan's mom, but, you know. He does a bit more than Junker Fergie, which is why I mention him, but I don't have anything else to say. Oh boy, Jamie, the little shit child of Nathan and Jaylee Hames Scott. I don't particularly like this kid as a character and how integral he is to the plot. He's annoying, but he did ask his teacher out on a date when he was in kindergarten, which is so monumentally funny that I have to give him some credit. However, he reminds me of another little shit character from the Life is Strange series, Daniel from Life is Strange 2. And as such, I hate this kid and his stupid friends. Especially Chuck. All my homies hate Chuck. He's such a little dweeb, and I wish nothing but the worst on this character. Julian Bullion was one of the more interesting characters introduced in the later seasons. His initial introduction sucked balls, but he grew on me when they realized that he's just a normal guy who wants to make movies and shit. I can respect that. I mean, God knows how many ideas I've got floating around in my head. That said, he's alright. I don't have any negatives to say other than he can be a tad strange in some lines or actions. Chase is the most random character they could have brought back later on, but I'm kinda glad they did. He's not a creep, nor is he really a weirdo, but I'm still asking, what the hell is he doing here? He feels like he doesn't belong in the wider canon of the show, but he's there. He gets some great gags, like him being a shit bartender or the whole best 60 seconds of your life joke. That said, he just feels like the proverbial straight man who's only here to tonally provide a contrasting normal guy to the main cast, which isn't great, but nothing in this show was done great. Oh, yeah, and he's the bar manager. Don't you ever forget that. Let's end this section with a bang, yeah? Deb had sex with a clown at a kid's birthday party, attempted to kill her ex-husband, abused a whole lot of pain meds, had a sexual relationship with Skills, who is about the same age as Nathan, mind you. She goes shooting, and did I miss anything? She's unhinged, and I kind of think she's one of the more interesting paternal figures in the series. Not as interesting as Danny Boy or Huey Lewis, but interesting nonetheless. I may not be musically talented, but music means something to me, and Lord knows I'm a sucker for a good soundtrack. Not that I found one here, but it's a soundtrack nonetheless. It's so aggressively 2000s and so integral to the show that I have to talk about it. The best place to start is with the start, which means I get to talk about my dearly beloved intro sequence once again. Oh man, I love this intro, and it's made me unable to listen to I Don't Wanna Be without having a mental breakdown imagining Lucas dribbling that basketball across the bridge. It reminds me of when I started this journey and the sheer highs and lows I've gone through because of it. Seriously, I was 3 days into college when I decided that this would be a funny thing to watch, just so I could more accurately hate 2000s teen dramas, only for it to have consumed my free time and completely derailed my glazed ham schedule. I was gonna cover a dating sim, but that got sidelined because I don't wanna be anything other than an idiot that'll have his longest written work be about fucking One Tree Hill. It's a solid song, don't get me wrong, but man, it just hits in the worst possible way, you know? My actions have consequences, and I suppose it's finally time I faced them. Anyways, I need a palate cleanse after that rant, so let's talk about Ryan Adams. Look, I like his album Gold as much as the next guy, but I really wish they realized that he had songs from that album other than When the Stars Go Blue. I mean, I'm glad they didn't play some of his songs that actually mean something to me, since I can just not associate this show with them. But I would have liked some more variety. Again, using La Cienega Just Smiled or Firecracker or even Nuclear at some point would have been something, you know? He's a good musician, what can I say? Then, of course, how could I not mention The Cure yet again? I really like The Cure, which is so totally shocking, I know. They're not exactly a 2000s band, pretty fucking far from it actually, but the times that they played them are great, just because the band itself is great. The more I listen to it, the more Disintegration really solidifies itself as one of my favorite albums. It's definitely gotten its way up there a lot since I really started listening to The Cure, and I would like to state that I started listening to The Cure independently from this show, and this is just a really horrible coincidence that they lined up timing-wise. But really, this coincidence is a pure coincidence that just lines up horribly with this essay. That said, go listen to Disintegration and Wish. They're perfect albums and are so great. I've been listening to these albums a lot while writing this shit show, and god damn do they hit. Sure, they're sad albums, and I swear I'm doing okay, but they're so good. Let's keep hitting the requisite things for me to talk about, and that's the in-universe music, including the most important thing in the whole damn show, When the Stars Go Blue. Boy, what a recurring element to have. I get it, alright? It's a good song, but dear god, it gets overplayed to hell and back here. I'm sick of it. I'm a little sick of it, just given how many times it plays. I get why it played a bunch in early on in Season 2 when Jaylee Hames and that bench Chris Keller are recording the damn thing in the first place, but after that, suck my nuts, bro. I don't want to hear it that many times throughout this shit show. It becomes a running gag, you know, and it's such a nightmare. Sure, the time when Peyton had the song queued up waiting for Jaylee Hames to piss her off at the start of the senior year beach party was really funny. But at what cost? That cost is further cementing that people only recognize cover versions of the song and never the original. It's a Ryan Adams song, contrary to Google telling you it's either a song by The Corrs or Tim McGraw, which is infuriating. The first result should be credit to the person who created the thing in the first place, and I'm sure it's like The Man Who Sold the World, which is a David Bowie song Google would lead you to believe is a Nirvana song. Unless you're a fan of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, then you'd recognize it as a Midge Ure song. The point is, wait, I haven't gone on this rant already? Upon further inspection, I did this all the way back on page 22 of the script. Wow, this show has this. Holy shit. That shows how much of a nightmare this thing has been, that I'm going on the same rant twice and I didn't even realize it. There are plenty of other songs in the show, including the cast of the show itself, particularly the actress Virginia Hames actually starting a music career during the show, with her songs actually being a part of the later seasons. That's actually pretty cool. I don't have much to say about it other than that it's impressive that she actually sang her parts. Some standout songs I haven't mentioned yet include the party montage set to Sugar We're Going Down, just because it makes me laugh really hard every time. The episode that opened with The Sound of Silence, because that's objectively hilarious, and the most infuriating part of Season 4. What happened way back in Season 4, I hear you ask? Don't worry, I wouldn't remember if I hadn't written it down, or if I hadn't written about it. It's when they played a cover of Say It Ain't So during the scene where Karen visits Dan in prison, and they didn't play the intro at all, so I was going through withdrawals until it played again in Season 8. While this definitely isn't everything, I think you get the point. This show's soundtrack is bonkers, and you can actually find a website that tracked every single song in the show if you're curious to know exactly what songs and which artists were played the most. They'll tell you that my Ryan Adams song counter is wrong and that there weren't that many. I'd tell them to piss off and let me do my job. But if you're truly motivated, the information is out there. I've talked about what I thought mattered, and that's just the way it is. I have to throw myself as many treats as I can throughout this nightmare, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things in this show that have aged like milk, and let's talk about that. I want to have some fun and really emphasize the weird things that really emphasize how terrible the 2000s were. So let's dunk on the content of the show and break some things down. However, there is something real that I have to talk about, and it's not fun. Don't worry, once I'm done talking about this, we'll get back to the fun and lighthearted goofing around, but this is a really important thing. I've been debating where I should mention this fact, and I alluded to it way back at the end of Season 6. It's the reason why Peyton never returns to the show, not even for the series retrospective, and it's not a fun reason. See, the entertainment industry has its fair share of really shitty people, and the creator of One Tree Hill is no exception. The guy who created the show was accused of sexual harassment by several of the female cast members of this show and several other shows he did back in 2017. Also, it turns out that he had some cameos in the show, and it was always scenes with Peyton, which says a lot about the kind of creep that this guy is. These are likely the main reasons why Peyton's actress, Hilarie Burton, did not come back once her contract expired at the end of Season 6. In case you were wondering, he has not worked on anything since 2017, so thankfully he has been deplatformed. To tell you the truth, I've known about this fact for a while, and it's been weighing down on me if I should even cover this show in the first place, since a review, even regardless of how many views it gets, is still free publicity. I don't want to give the creep who made this show any recognition because of what he did, which would mean I shouldn't have covered this show at all. However, I came to my conclusion, and it's this. One bad person shouldn't overshadow all of the work that everyone else involved in the production put into this. Making a TV show is a lot of work, and it takes a lot of people to make even a single episode happen, let alone 9 seasons. And those people deserve to have their work recognized. There actually is a 188th episode of the show, and it's a series retrospective. But hearing the actors talk about their experiences with this and what the show means to them really says a lot about why I chose to cover this. Yes, the guy who created the show is a terrible person, but that shouldn't discredit the hard work that hundreds of other people put into this, both on camera and behind the scenes. And it is with those people in mind that I decided to do this review. There's something to be said about the ethics of a review, and I'm probably overthinking this, but I wanted to talk about this concept even if just for a little bit. Now that the heavy part of this section is out of the way, let's get to the more fun parts of this to cleanse that palate. Yeah, let's start with the start, with a real low point in the show, honestly the lowest point. It's Felix. His whole existence as a character in this show speaks volumes about how terrible this time period is, and it seems intentional. I get it, you want an unlikable villain, but they try to humanize him in a very strange move. They seem to want you to like him, and not in a way where he starts unlikable then grows as a person like Broke Davis does. He just stays evil the whole damn time. He starts with trespassing by swimming nude in Brooke's pool, then by committing some indecent exposure, and this is all before him engaging in some casual sexual harassment. And, oh yeah, he then goes all in on the homophobia when he realizes his sister is actually gay. Of course, when he gets expelled and sent to military school for his actions, he blames it all on his sister. He's a terrible guy and so emblematic of this time. And I don't get why they try to humanize him at all. He's a shitball sex-addicted loser. Why should I care about him? The fact that he's in 11 out of 187 episodes is 11 episodes too many. Speaking of being in too many episodes, Rachel. Oh dear God, what hasn't she done wrong? From continuing unwanted sexual advancements towards the whole Scott family, to manipulating Brooke for her own personal gain, to every other thing she's done mentioned in the whole story section, she's just horrendous in every possible facet. And yet the show wants me to care about her as if she's a crucial member of the main cast. I just don't understand why they brought her back so many times throughout the show. Seriously, she comes back almost as much as Danny Boy, but at least he's just goofy evil and not makes me want to throw up every time you're on screen evil. Rachel, much like Felix, is the latter. And just like her predecessor, she's supposed to be likable at times, which is not great. They tried to make you feel bad for her when she has one of them Tree Hill drug abuse escapades, but that hinges on you having liked the character, thus making the THDAE impactful, like Millie's descent into cocaine. Here, however, I was actively praying for her downfall, thus having the polar opposite effect of what they wanted from me. That is one of many problems here. Rachel's consistent homewrecker shenanigans aren't fun to watch, it's just cringe and showcases how monumentally brain-dead mainstream media in the 2000s was. Of course, this leaps into a larger point about the series as a whole, and it's just how much of an asshole everyone can be, especially with some of the words that they used that you could not say on television today. I don't know what was in the water in the early 2000s, but in the first couple of seasons, everyone sucks except for like 4 people, and even then that's iffy. But really, everyone at some point does or says some questionable things. Brooke definitely committed several acts of indecent exposure, Peyton's 1-week coke addiction, Felix's existence, Dan doing Dan things, Rachel's whole, I'm gonna say it, Rachel's whole inappropriate relationship with Uncle Cooper that she initiated. He's a victim. She did sex crimes to him. That's not a, she coerced him. I have to say the word YouTube doesn't like. She raped him, okay? There's no way around it. But the show doesn't care. Sorry, I had to go off script to mention that. Anyway, the list goes on. Nathan especially does so many funky things, like drunk driving several times, using performance-enhancing drugs, kidnapping and physically beating his brother, doing a little too much trolling and crashing several cars, and so much more. I don't know what the hell was going on culturally that really led to this being a common thing in media from this era. I mean, I have a general idea why. It's just a holdover from the 90s rise of stuff like Jackass, Marilyn Manson, Limp Bizkit, or as I'll call them, Flaccid Pancake, and other such shocking and edgy mainstream entertainment. Yes, shock value has always been a thing. John Waters comes to mind, and his career started way back in the 70s. But it became especially common in 90s media. Then, I suppose, the next evolution came in the 2000s when that mean-spirited, gross-out humor became the norm. The fact that this show is on the tamer end of the spectrum raises a lot of questions looking back. A lot of things back then just feel so sleazy and gross now, and it makes it kinda hard to go back to. Prime example, Wedding Crashers, a comedy film from 2005 that has 2 scenes that make me genuinely upset, and if you know the movie, you probably know which scenes I'm gonna talk about. I'll give you a hint, men being the victim of sex crimes. The fact that this is used as a joke in a mainstream comedy film is rough enough, but the fact it happens twice in the same movie is atrocious. You see what I mean? That's just one of many examples. Anyways, ranting aside, let's get back on track and talk about Alex. Holy shit, man. This character has done nothing good and exists just to make terrible things happen. From the moment she gets to really speak, every word out of her mouth is terrible, and her actions just keep making it harder and harder to care. You telling me that this character who stayed here to just ruin shit and be unlikable is supposed to actually be likable? That's crazy. See, you made me hate this character from her first real line, then you tried to get me to care about her when she attempted to end her own life, only for her behavior to not change? Oh boy, I sure do love this character and what she represents! Jesus wept. And of course, I have to talk about the elephant in the room from season 3. The school shooting episode is something that didn't need to happen, and the fact that it did feels a wee bit insensitive. Yes, I know that these events are tragically all too common here in the States, but you don't need to use it for one episode of a shitty teen drama for a plot. I will give them some very small credit and say that they handled it with the tiniest amount of respect that was still somewhat reasonable. And it didn't feel exploitative, but it still feels wrong for this to happen, especially because it's so crucial to the plot. I mean, why? You could have found a way for Dan to still murder Keith without having to do a whole plot using a forgotten character from the first few episodes. The intrinsic problem is that the Goofy basketball show has an Emmy bait episode about a school shooting, and according to IMDb ratings, it kinda worked. It's the highest rated episode of the series on there, and I can't tell you how genuinely fucked up that is. With all of this in mind, I think you get the point. The 2000s, even on a small scale as a show like this is, were not a good time. Everything kinda sucked. Sure, there was some good media in this era, like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies, Super Mario Galaxy, even Graduation, but the overwhelming amount of trash that makes up this era outnumbers the good by a lot, and One Tree Hill and the shows like it are amongst the overall problem. Contrary to my general disposition and opinions on this show, there are a few things in here buried amongst the trash that have some value. Others would say some diamonds in the rough, or something about gold nuggets, but not me. I'd say it's more like glimpses of ideas that could have worked. Some of them actually worked here, and some of them are just funny to me. So I'm gonna highlight some moments from this show that stood out during the course of this multiple month-long journey. These won't be in chronological order, so just be aware I'm gonna jump all over the place as this goes on. If you're a longtime Glazed Ham viewer, take one guess what I'm gonna lead off with. Take a wild guess. I'll even give you a hint. Say the line, Bart! That's right, it's the kiss the girl moment. And you may now say the thing. He said the thing! He said the thing! And you may ask yourself, wait a minute, which one? There's a lot of them in this show. Which is a fair statement, but I'm talking about the one that was the payoff for 4 seasons of yearning and contrived bullshit, episode 76 out of 187. It's when Lubisky's dreams came true and Peyton was the one standing next to him, and he has his whole certified Lubisky speech. It's a very rewarding moment solely because it's a payoff for like 3 seasons of pure bullshit chicanery. I don't need to break this moment down since I already did this like 60 plus pages ago, and that's like 6 of these videos ago. But you know how I feel about a good and well done kiss the girl moment. I liked Peyton and Lubisky a lot. They have a good chemistry and all that jazz. And the fact that this moment is as earned as it is something's really special. I like it more than any of the other shit with Nathan and Jaylee Hames because this felt earned. It didn't start out of spite, it started out of a genuine love for one another, and that's really sweet to see in a shit show like this. In that same vein, I really like the season 6 finale. I think they had the perfect place to end the whole show. Everyone got everything they wanted. All their dreams came true, Dan was essentially dead, Lucas and Peyton finally had everything they ever wanted, Nathan was in the NBA, Jaylee Hames had her music career back, and all was well. That final shot of the river court was actually really well done, and it was the perfect spot to end the show. It felt like the perfect closure, but alas, we didn't get to have the good ending. Regardless, if you for some reason decide to watch this shit show after this, just stop after episode 130. It really was such a poetic final shot that made everything pay off beautifully, that makes you not have to watch anything that came after. Anyways, let's talk about my favorite antagonist, Dan, and his numerous events that are super funny. We'll start with the most classic moment in the whole show, and what is easily my favorite scene, Hospital Dog. The sheer stupidity of having a dog in the hospital and then having the heart be in a flimsy styrofoam container that'll spill immediately is just so funny. And the payoff? Comedy gold. If you only watch one clip from this show, make it this one because it's so monumentally hilarious. Then, of course, we have the time he broke into Keith's house, the time he saw Keith bone his wife, the time he nearly drowned Clay, and the time he said to a priest that the sins he committed could turn this town to rubble. But one of my all-time favorite moments is, because of how stupid it is when Dan shoots Nanny Carey like 7 times after he shot her the first time, and he said, "I hate the woods." More on Dan, his end-of-season tragedies hit every single time. I mean, the time he had a heart attack in the middle of signing his divorce papers, pure comedy gold. The dealership fire, beautiful. Dan's ex-wife telling him that she was the one who tried to kill him, so he killed Keith for nothing, fantastic. Dan attempting suicide in his prison cell after spending one night in there, iconic. Him getting hit by a car, kidnapped and tortured, gorgeous. The time he tried to get Coach to execute him, sublime. You get the point. And it's how every scene Dan is in is just comedy gold and super entertaining. It's worth watching the show for him alone, in all honesty, just because of how unhinged he is. It goes without saying that any time Coach and basketball are on screen is a good time. But what's always hilarious is when actual musicians show up. The times when Gavin DeGraw shows up are always a highlight, just because you know we're gonna hear the classic intro song. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Huey Lewis appearing, even if he doesn't do a song. It's just such a golden cameo. Then we've got the times that actual band Fall Out Boy appears and Peyton having a relationship with Pete Wentz. It was really funny. And seeing certain musicians that would then blow up to huge proportions later, like Kid Cudi appearing in season 8, are so goofy. And then we get the in-universe musician stuff with Mia and Jaylee Hames Scott and all that jazz, which are fun enough when it's not another goddamn Ryan Adams cover. Back to talking about full scenes, I want to highlight the Peyton and Lubisky flashback scenes we get in episode 127. I really like the story these tell and how sweet it all is. It doesn't hurt that they were going to a Cure show, but I swear I'm not biased. And the whole end of the episode shot set to pictures of you is really great, but it's mostly the whole shot of Lubisky and Peyton simply just kissing to the song that pays off a recurring bit and almost makes me forgive Lucas for not liking The Cure. The emotional payout for this was great, and the fact that the song is diegetic makes it even better. It reminds me of the classic opening of Life is Strange when Max heads to the bathroom to start the game. As stupid as this show is, it had certain moments that it does really well, and Season 6 does a lot of good with Peyton and Lucas, as this episode, and as do episodes 128 and 130, through 130. While there's an unholy amount of scenes I could cover, I think I want to close out with a repeated element usually involving Nathan in the early seasons. That's right, it's drunk driving and car crash time! The fact that the series opens with Nathan and the basketball boys getting arrested for drunk driving in GTA is hilarious, and then he keeps doing it. I love how he unintentionally sets up Peyton and Lucas when he destroys her car, thus making Lucas repair the damages himself, which is paid off in Season 6 when Luke fixes the car one last time after it was in a crash. Then there's the infamous race car crash scene, and it's so funny. And of course, the most important car crash to mention is all the way back in episode 13, all the way back on page 11 of this script. Holy shit, that was so long ago! It really puts the whole process of writing this into perspective, you know what I mean? Welcome to some funky little counters for some funny little words. This is just a simple grand total for how many times I scripted certain words, including all of your favorite all of your glazed ham favorites, like the variations of anyways, or how many times I said variations of character names, and more so. So let's get to the numbers that are in the script, because I'm not doing this for the actual audio, because that audio would be a nightmare to count. So let's get to the numbers. Anyway and variations of 423 times scripted. Anyhows 167 times. My man 35 times. Woo! All variations 20 times. Pregos 17 times. Damn variations 103. Fuck variations 59 times. Shit variations 516. Brooke Davis, 516 times. Broke Davis, 195 times. Jaylee Hames Scott, including Haley and Jaylee Hames, Haley James Scott, including Haley and Jaylee Hames. Haley James. I can't read it without wanting to say it the other way. 44 times. Jaylee Hames Scott, including Jaylee and Jaylee Hames. 464 times scripted. Nathan, 123 times. Nathan, 542 times. Jakey, 77 times, including all variations, which does include the doubles. Dan, all variations, 502 times. Deb, 85 times. Karen, 93 times. Keith, 137 times. Lucas, 709 times. Lubisky, 202 times. Peyton, 723 times. Coach, both as a word and the character, 126 times. Jwin Quames, 127 times. Quinn James, 4 times. Clay, 126 times. Julian Boolean, all variations, 244 times. Shenanigans, 47 times. WDNC variations 53 times. And, Ryan Adams song counter, by my count, I found 24 songs, which is not accurate, but screw you, that's what I counted after doing zero research. The Cure mentions and references, 47 times that I could find scripted. And, if anyone wants to try to do these numbers for the video version, be my guest. I would love to know how many times I said that, or said certain words, but I'm not doing it. I don't have that kind of time anymore. I gotta finish this. And speaking of finishing this, off the bat, I'd like to say that I'm never doing this again. This has been an absolute nightmare to write and talk about and turn into videos and edit, and I'm so glad I did. Without a hint of irony, this has been so much fun to create, even if it's been so incredibly draining. I've enjoyed every single bit I did, and this is simultaneously the most and least amount of fun I've ever had writing one of these things. This has driven me insane to no end, but man, it's been such a wacky trip. That said, do I recommend you watch this show? Absolutely not. I can't recommend it in good conscience, because it's like 137 hours of mind-numbingly trashy content. Don't make the same mistake I did. Is it good? Oh god no, this show is terrible, and unapologetically terrible at that. But is it a fun time? Yeah, absolutely. I had a blast with this goofy dumpster fire of a show, and I have a newfound appreciation for the media I absolutely love making fun of. Once enough time has passed, I'd love to rewatch seasons 1 through 6 again, but this time in a way where I can just sit back, relax, and let the trash wash over me like a tsunami. Now, here I am with the impossible task of rating this absolute colossus of a show, and I think I know, now more than ever, that this show deserves a 10 out of 10. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. This is the 2000s distilled into its purest form. It has caused me irreversible brain damage, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Well, I'd trade it for another Life is Strange game with Max as an actual character in it, but that's neither here nor there. Holy shit, that actually happened? Let's fucking go, baby! Sorry, this was written before Double Exposure was even slightly announced. I can't believe it. We won. I didn't have to trade everything for it. Let's go, baby! I can't believe me in my freshman year of college willed this into existence. That's amazing. Anyways, my name is A Leg of Glazed Ham, and thank you so much for watching this novel of an essay. It means the absolute world to me that anyone has or will get this far into this nightmare. Thanks again, and good night. Well, there it is. The culmination of 3 months of writing for an essay that legally classifies as a novel, and the culmination of a total of 13 months. Seriously, this is the most I've ever written and edited for a Glazed Ham essay, and it's not even a contest. This had, at the time, 6 times the page count of the previous record, and I don't even want to know how many words more. Lord knows that this is an unbeatable record for me, and that's okay. Honestly, I think this might be one of my favorite Glazed Ham essays I've ever done, and this isn't a recency bias thing. It's a genuine feeling I have about this. There's so many good jokes and gags and everything in here, and my descent into madness is so well tracked that it's astonishing. I think I'm ready to talk about why I started this journey now. It was August, I had just started college, and I was bored out of my mind. I had watched a video of some people only watching the previously on segments of the show and trying to piece together what it was about. It's a very chaotic video, but a very fun one, and this set up One Tree Hill as a candidate for a different point. As I stated in the intro forever ago, I had never actually watched a shitty 2000s teen drama before starting this journey, and realizing I had never done this, I knew I needed to rectify this in order to hate more accurately. It was a perfect storm from there. I was bored out of my mind, I could learn more about an era of media I love talking about, and I would, at the very least, get a Glazed Ham essay out of it. That last point would matter a lot later on. I laid down on my bed, turned on the TV, and started with episode 1. My initial estimates, I could pace it to finish the show, all 187 episodes, in about 30 days, then write about it and be done. Then I started to watch the show and realized that there was way more to talk about than I initially judged. By the time I was starting to regret it, I was too far in to scrap this, and so I soldiered on and now have cursed the world with this in all its glory. Having finished the show and this novel/essay, I think I've come to another conclusion as I wrap up. I had thought about one simple question. Would I do this all again? And I thought about it for 2 seconds before knowing the answer. Absolutely I would. I have no regrets about watching this terrible show, and while I would in no way consider myself a fan of One Tree Hill, I wouldn't have wanted this to be any other show than this one. This may be the Stockholm Syndrome talking, but this terrible piece of media will forever have a special place in my heart. It's an emblem of my first semester of college, and while I may not have shown it, I had so much fun writing and watching this trash, and it's something I wouldn't trade for anything. I know I say this a lot, but it means so much to me that anyone has watched or will ever watch this far. I mean, this thing is a novel, and I'm not blind to that. This script that I wrote is 95,117 words long, and that legally classifies this as a novel. This is a behemoth, it's all of the dumbest shows imaginable, and you know what? I guess they were right. There really is only one A Leg of Glazed Ham is committing to the bit and is talking about One Tree Hill. Thanks again, and good night, A Leg of Glazed Ham. All right, and that's a wrap. So producers, how was that? What? we just finished this. We still have to do the editing on. Really? You want me to say this now? We can't even like get the video out and edited before this? No? Okay, you don't need to get so snarky with me. I really don't think you needed to do the... Oh, okay, put the fucking gun down. There's no need to get crazy with this. Okay, I'll say the thing. Do you have a script for me? Okay. Oh, for fuck's sake. You want me to sing this? Okay, fine. I'm sorry. I won't ask any questions for our corporate overlords. You got it. In the Kermit voice? Really? We're gonna get sued for this. Okay, fine. You got it. From the top.
We're doing a sequel. We're back by popular demand. Come on, everybody, strike up the band. We're doing a sequel. We're exploring what came before. That's right, we're going back to the 90s, don't you know? It's time for a sequel. It's Dawson's Creek. 138 episodes of bullshit. Fucking 128, whatever, who cares? Please don't shoot me, Disney.
That's right. We're doing a sequel. We're back by popular demand, baby. It's Dawson's Creek. Because apparently one shitty teen drama wasn't enough. I need more answers. I need to know what went wrong culturally that led us to a point where One Tree Hill could become a show. And that answer is to look at what came directly before it, Dawson's Creek. Seriously, Dawson's Creek ended like a month before One Tree Hill started. So they are in the same lifespan, basically. They are integral parts of the same coin. And I have to know what happened. What made this go so wrong that One Tree Hill happened? It's time. We're gonna take a trip up to Massive Two Shits. It's gonna be wacky. I'm not gonna give you a time frame on when this is gonna happen, but just know it's coming. Oh, trust me, it's coming. And I think that says everything that needs to be said. Is that good, corporate overlords? Okay, yep, thank you. Anything else you want me to mention? I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Yeah. Okay, I don't know how to translate any of that. Thank you. Thanks for putting the gun down, producers, corporate overlords. I appreciate it. Now, yeah, I guess I've got to go start writing that, yeah? Oh, the mic's still running? Oh, yeah, I'll figure out a way to edit this later. Yeah, no, of course, I'll cut out all of you talking. I'll cut out the part about the gun. It'll all go well. Yes, thank you. I will see you again tomorrow. All right, that's it. Be prepared. Dawson's Creek is coming. All right, I'm gonna leave now. Thank you. Thank you, corporate overlords. I'll see myself out.